Today on Drawbli, we are drawing
food.
Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And comment below with other ideas of food and anything else we can draw.
Well, Abby, you at this point have learned the masterful technique that I have taught you. I mean, I pretty much invented this technique. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be really big and famous now because I've, really just kind of invented a new way of doing art.
A new way that you definitely didn't learn from somebody else ever.
Yeah, never ever
so
did
independent.
Yeah.
So it's such an independently minded person.
I've never watched a YouTube tutorial in my life. I don't even know what YouTube really is. You've just kind of mentioned it to me.
I've really
in passing
introduced
a few
you
times.
to it, right? Yeah.
So at this point, for those who have not seen our past couple episodes of Drawbli, we've been playing around with this new technique, just using the selection lasso tool and auto-filling colors. So at this point, how many times have you done this?
This is my second time.
And this one turns out amazing. Not to try to convince you to skip ahead to the end, but Abby's turns out beautiful.
It was really, really, really fun to do. It was a lot of trial and error. I started just with the wood grain in the background, which ended up being the most fun part to do.
Yeah, which I want you to tell me all about because the wood is already looking really cool.
I just did what you said. I put in shapes of different colors that I saw, and I tried selecting little slivers to get that, those striped effects up there.
Right.
And it just ended up looking real nice to me.
Now, did you sample the colors from the reference image? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think eventually, soon, I'd like to start testing myself to do what you've been testing yourself to do.
It's really hard. I won't lie, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think the way of picking the color picking, helps me get the really saturated colors that otherwise I might not end up using.
For me, it's the complete opposite because I end up picking way too saturated colors because I'm like, ooh, I love these very saturated colors. And then everything ends up being at the same level of super saturation, and where instead I need to find balance. It sounds like we both need to find balance.
I like what you're doing with your balanced wheel over here with your colors.
Yeah, this started off very messy because I kind of did it a little more loose because the food is kind of intermingling with each other a little bit, and I just wanted to kind of get something on the canvas rather quickly and then go in and start to change it.
I feel like I see a lot of people start messy and get stuff on there and then clean that up, but getting something on the canvas seems to be such an important part of a lot of people's creative process.
Yeah, I don't know which camp I fall into because I've definitely been doing a little bit of both, where I work quick and messy, and then sometimes I do what you're doing right now, which is being a little more slow and methodical. And I think there's, benefits to both. In my opinion, I've honestly been leaning more so the other direction of being slow and methodical lately, because every time I start off more messy, it just gives me more problems to fix later. And I feel like the time that you save early on just ends up, coming back later, and you have to do it anyway.
I mean, I love that about what we're doing, though, experimenting with so many different workflows, is we're becoming so acquainted with what actually works for us. Not just, oh, this is just how I've always done it, but, oh, I've tried the other ways, and they don't work as well for me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different in terms of their workflow and what is going to work for them, With sculpting, something that I know a ton about, I work in a completely different way than someone who might sculpt very similar stuff to what I do. It just really comes down to the person. It's very similar to like art style, or maybe your writing style. If you were going to write a book, some people might just go from A to Z all in one go, or some people might plan out their steps and then fill in the gaps in between. So it's just, really dependent on what works for you. I should have done a super clean circle like you did for my plate. It's funny that we both did top-down plates of food.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. No, you know exactly what happened. You know what happened. I saw you do your top-down food.
Okay.
And I have zero originality. And I said, I will also do a top-down food, but I want to do my favorite food that I've never actually eaten, which is, originally I was Googling grilled peaches with ice cream.
Oh, and what is this?
Oh man.
Is that not ice cream?
It's not. I actually,
what is it?
Oh my gosh, I think it's like a creamy kind of cheese. It starts with a B. I should have looked it up before we started, but something that popped up once I started Googling grilled peaches with ice cream was peaches with
cheese.
It sounds like
Interesting.
Belterra, but that's the local horse gambling track.
Yes,
But
is.
it starts with a B, and it looks amazing. Look at it. It's got this creamy cheese, kind of like cottage cheese, I imagine.
Huh.
But I don't eat cottage cheese. I've never had it.
Peaches
And basil.
Peaches and cheese, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if that's my style personally.
Maybe it's like a sweet cheese, though.
What is it about grilled peaches? What's
What is the attraction?
Yeah,
well,
I feel like I have maybe. Is it?
Yeah.
Do they become like more sugary? Like,
So I know I said that
like
it was my
caramely?
favorite food, but if I'm being honest, it's my favorite food I've never had.
Abby, what? That's nothing. That's literally nothing.
I have never had it, but it is the prettiest of all the foods.
You just like the color orange, is what I'm hearing.
Oh yes.
So if your favorite color was red and strawberries were called reds, or apples, you would be like, oh, I love reds, but I've never had them,
Well, peaches aren't called oranges.
Well, oh, they are peaches. They're not oranges. Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
you thought this whole time that I did oranges.
No, I didn't. But either way, peaches. There is a peach truck that comes by.
Oh, yeah.
Around here, around these
Everybody
parts in
raves
the
about
deep
it.
south.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow, that was a crazy selection that you just made.
I do that a lot, actually. Just kind of grab and grab and grab till I get the edge I want.
So this truck comes by, similar to an ice cream truck, and it comes by 1 month out of the year, probably sometime in the middle of the summer. And people will just buy multiple crates of peaches and then, eat as many as they can and freeze the rest and eat them throughout the rest of the year. It's a very interesting way to get peaches of such a specific thing. I'm guessing that they're like Florida peaches or something.
They must
they
be
come up
really
from-
good peaches.
from the deeper south, from
don't
where we
know.
are. But yeah, my food is very, very messy, and as you can see, I am just trying to do anything to break up what I have created.
Well, I love that, it looks messy now, but I've seen the finished result and it ends up looking so like cohesive and attractive to the eye.
It gets better,
It's so
but
cool
I
how
wouldn't
you-
say that it looks good in my opinion. It does get better. I believe for the most part, I really tried not to sample any colors here.
That's pretty impressive.
I think I did sample a couple times on the rice because anytime I see things that are like really tiny and speckled like that, my brain's like, it's this color, but it's really not. It's not that color. It's like nowhere near that color. So I'm just like, I don't know. Just one little sample just to kind of like right my brain. And figure out what's
Get yourself
going
on the right track and then deviate a little from there.
Especially when you have so many colors next to each other. I think we've all seen that illusion where you have like the gray square on the one side and then they have the gray square on the other side and they're like, they're actually the same color. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have going on in this bowl full of colorful things, and my brain was not having it.
No, but I love it. I love your choice of food that you did too. I think that's something I'm learning a lot as we go on with this Drawbli experiment. It's not just about being able to draw, it's about composition, and in our case, it's being able to find and use good reference.
This is literally an advertisement that I saw on Pinterest that I screenshotted.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't remember what for, but
I think I found this on Pinterest also, maybe. I don't remember. It was either this or on just a Google image search, but
the prompt was tasty for us for this episode, so I found the tastiest thing I could, something that resembled Chipotle, of course.
Of course, but it's much
or maybe
prettier.
BB-Bop. Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, it looks like a BB-Bop Chipotle.
A BB Chipotle.
BB
And for those
Chipotle.
that don't, I don't know how wide range BB-Bop is, but it's my like go-to favorite place to get some yums.
It's like a, what would you, how
Asian fusion, I think
Asian
is what
fusion?
they describe
Oh,
themselves
okay.
as.
Kind of like a Chipotle style where you build the bowl as you go down the line.
Yeah, but you gotta put everything in the bowl.
I've done that there, and that's
gotta
what
cram
turned me
it
off
full.
to BB-Bop initially.
You didn't, look, let me take the reins on the BB Bop ordering. I got it.
Which is exactly what happened last time. I
Look.
said, just set me up with identical to what he has. I don't want to think about this.
And that was the problem? Well, next time you'll have to figure it out for yourself.
No, that's when it ended up better, actually, than the initial times I'd been there. So,
you're saying, okay.
Yes. To clarify, you did save the day.
Okay.
It was better.
Okay.
Good job.
All right, fair. So tell me about your strategy for your orange peaches.
They were really hard to get what I wanted from them.
What are you doing to the back of the peaches there?
I'm trying to add like the grainy texture of the peel without I'm still really sticking pretty religiously here to the selection tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to just select little pieces
I
at a time.
told you about the
to
selection tool, and you said there's nothing else that I can do. I can't use any other brushes, any other tools.
I didn't realize it at the time, but yes, I was quickly converting to just a selection tool.
Well, I think it's a really good practice, especially for you who normally favors the soft edges.
I love getting away from the soft edges. Soft edges are muddy, and this
But
way...
you still use soft edges. I saw you making feathered selections.
I do feather, and I do actually a little bit of blending with these peaches, but honestly, the tedium of me finessing and refining these peaches, wow, it just takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a lot of things, I think you're experiencing the exact same thing that I was with all my food, which is you have all these parts kind of touching and, kind of slapped together, and you could make that look random, but there's definitely a specificity to the way it's laid out, and if you don't, spend time making sure that that's correct, it can look weird, instead of having one or two peaches next to each other, it looks like it's just one big weird shape. So it definitely takes time to, get everything where you want it. But I spent a lot of time zooming out on my image to try to reset, kind of get like a thumbnail perspective, and that definitely helped me a lot in just taking a step back, really squinting my eyes as much as I could.
Reading the whole thing. That's something I'd like to be better at. Composition in general is something I really want to study some more and try to improve at.
Tell me, what do you know about composition?
Well, I know I just know simple things like there's a rule of thirds. I know.
Do you know the rule of fourths?
Mm-mm.
It's because I just made it up. But I use it all the time. It's really great for composition.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's good for composition. I know about contrast. We've watched a video about contrast. It talks about not just contrast amongst hues, but contrast amongst sizes and edges and shapes.
All sorts of things.
And so that's been interesting, but actually applying that and knowing when and how to apply it, I think that's just going to come with time, but it's going to have to be intentional too. It's not going to happen naturally. I have to think about those things as I create.
Yeah, I honestly think the rule of thirds is stupid, personally. Hot take here.
Gosh, that's all we need in the world, another hot take.
Yeah, I mean, it's just people hear about the rule of thirds often very early in their art career, and people will try to put visually interesting things on that, falling on one of those third cross sections, and in all honesty, I think it is probably the weakest compositional tool that I've ever used for any artwork. There are so many more things that you can do, just by breaking up where you put your visual interest.
Yeah, you use the rule of 1/5 there, and then I see a 7th and maybe an 8th in your wheel.
Well, you will see people constantly put things like the golden spiral over top of another image, and they're like, look how it lines up. And it's you could put that on anything and size it in such a way that it looks like it makes sense and it's doing anything. It's calm down. That's literally nothing.
That's funny. Just to cut to what you're doing, I think one of my favorite parts of your whole piece ended up being this drizzle of whatever that is, sour cream.
Yeah, I believe so. It took exactly 5 seconds.
I was just so impressed with the slight dimension you added to it.
Yeah, I duplicated it, and then I made it a little darker underneath. Gave it a slight drop shadow is what that's called.
Something about it really ties the whole thing together to me.
Wow, thank you. I'm glad that you like it. Yeah, it does add some nice kind of graphic nature to it, I guess.
Maybe it's the contrast in edges, because your food is actually for, relatively softer edges. Not like soft, but
Not
more
soft, but like
indistinguishable.
medium soft, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the sour cream or whatever that is just comes in there and is real sharp and hard-edged and says, here's my edges, and look, they've even got a drop shadow.
Do you think one day we'll like sound like we know what we're talking about with art?
No. I think even the people who sound like they know what they're talking about maybe don't always know what they're talking about, but I wouldn't know, would I?
Oh, that's a good point. It's hard to know when you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I really dislike a lot of fine art personally, because every time you walk into like a museum or an art show of any kind, like we just went to an improv show the other night, and there was this little side room with this art display, and no shame to this person who worked on this art. I'm sure they worked on it very hard, but I'm looking at it and I'm just like, this is just so much of nothing. There's nothing here. This isn't anything. And every single piece had the Procreate glitch filter on it. So obviously done. It was like copy pasted Procreate, like here's 20% glitch filter and on every single piece. And it was just like, come on. Like what are you doing here?
I feel like everything I see curated on my Instagram just blows anything out of the water that I typically see in a modern art gallery.
There are so many talented artists out there posting online that
but
are
they're just
actually
not fine art.
Yeah, well, they're actually putting in the time and the effort of what I consider to be the most important thing.
Maybe art galleries are just, left to work with whoever's left. No,
In
that's not true. They work hard too.
In some ways, I would kind of lean more into that camp. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan of fine art really at all.
It's all about how it makes you feel, and it doesn't make me feel any certain type of way.
It makes me feel angry. So it does make me feel. So maybe it is successful to some degree.
Maybe that's what they're secretly going for the whole time.
I understand fine art now. They were actually very successful with their art. You know what? I've circled back. I love fine art now. Oh, wait. That means I hate it, though.
This is getting way too philosophical for me. I cannot keep up, and I will not try. I refuse.
So, is there anything that you did at the end for finishing touches with your art to, really kind of bring it all together? You know how at the end I'll do, some color correction stuff? Do you do anything
I think sometimes I still try to play with color correction, but just to try to get my feet wet in it, not because I know what I'm doing. I don't think I really did that for this, but I did add a little bit of a drop shadow to the peaches, and I ultimately add some speckles to the plate, and the speckles to the plate end up being this detail that I think adds a lot to the finished piece.
No, it does. It does. Is that the plate? It's not on a tortilla or something like that?
That is a plate. I know. I couldn't represent it.
Oh, no, it does look like the plate. I'm looking at the actual photograph.
I see.
It looks like there's a tortilla on the photo.
Oh, interesting.
I'm sorry, on the plate.
No,
that's just the texture
yeah,
on the
I
plate.
could obviously see it much more up close than you.
It's like some raku clay or something with some splatter. Yeah, no, it looks really cool. And your little texture there is really coming together. I like that. What'd you use for that? Did you use the spray stroke or whatever it's called?
I think I used something in the spray. I see so many people create different speckle brushes out there, and honestly, if there were ever a brush that I was like, I can't use the default brushes, it would be for speckle effects like this, because being tied to just one speckle pattern is a little bit limiting.
One thing I remember when I first got Photoshop was that I had just about 1 million paint splatter brushes.
Oh my gosh.
And they were really fun to play with. It was good for randomizing backgrounds and just adding some nice random organic texture to stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, I think we're both about wrapped up here. Look at your art. It looks so good.
No, yours looks actually amazing.
Well, mine only looks so amazing because seeing yours inspired me to really, really try.
There was a comment recently on a Drawbli video that was something along the lines of, man, Ben, your art's always so much better. Every time at the end, I'm just like, Abby's is 10 times better than mine. What are you talking about?
No.
Look at that amazing wood texture.
No.
Look how cool that looks.
Yours is so appealing
look at your
every
shadow.
time. Oh,
Appeal's
hardly.
nothing. That's a made-up word by
Appeal
artists.
is so much. And you literally have the Appeal Academy, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. No, I still like your work probably the most 90% of the time.
Well, thank you. All right, guys, click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with other ideas of what we can draw and paint to improve.
And this is the part where we say...
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
So we're going to get the peaches from the peach truck?
Absolutely not.
No? Oh, yes, we are.
They're like $1 million per peach. They're the nicest peaches.
Save
Golden
up.
peaches.
Golden peaches. I bet they're really nice, and we're going to get some.